In February 2026, a series of strikes changed the Middle East in ways that analysts had warned about for decades, but that few truly expected to see in their lifetimes. The Islamic Republic of Iran, a state that had spent 40 years building a regional empire through proxies, ideology, and nuclear ambiguity, found itself facing the most severe military campaign in its history. But Iran did not collapse. What emerged instead was something arguably more dangerous and far harder to contain. This is the story of what Iran has become and what it means for the world. To understand Iran today, you have to start with what happened in early 2026. On February 28th, the United States and Israel launched simultaneous military operations, Operation Epic Fury and Operation Roaring Lion. In the first 24 hours alone, over 1,000 targets were struck across Iranian territory. But this wasn't the beginning. In June 2025, an earlier operation, dubbed Operation Midnight Hammer, had already destroyed key components of Iran's enrichment program at Natanz and Karaj. The February campaign was the escalation that followed when diplomacy, attempted in Muscat and Geneva, broke down entirely. The results were severe. Natanz's above-ground facilities were destroyed. Fordow, Iran's most hardened enrichment site, had its tunnel entrances collapsed by bunker-busting munitions. In the opening hours of the campaign, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in a targeted strike. 46 years of ideological leadership gone in a single night. Iran retaliated. What it called Operation True Promise 4 sent hundreds of ballistic missiles and thousands of drones across the region, targeting US military bases. Iran also moved to close the Strait of Hormuz, deploying mines and anti-ship missiles. Simultaneously, its Houthi allies in Yemen blockaded the Red Sea's Bab el-Mandeb. For the first time in history, both of the world's most critical oil choke points were simultaneously under threat. Global prices reacted instantly. A Pakistan-brokered ceasefire was signed in April. A 14-point memorandum followed in June. By July, it had collapsed. The war cost the United States an estimated $40 billion. Patriot interceptor stockpiles fell below 1,000 units. THAAD interceptors were reduced to roughly 250. Iran had lost the conventional battle, but it had not lost the war. When Khamenei was killed, Iran faced a crisis it had never prepared for. The Assembly of Experts, under intense pressure from the IRGC, moved quickly. They appointed Mojtaba Khamenei, the Supreme Leader's own son, to replace his father. The Islamic Republic had always rejected the concept of dynastic succession, and yet, under fire, it had created exactly that. The regime's internal fractures became visible. In practice, Mojtaba functions largely as a figurehead. Real power has consolidated into a collective leadership, a military technocracy in service of regime survival. Iran's foreign policy ambitions have been subordinated to a single overriding priority, keeping the state intact, but a regime with nothing left to lose is far more dangerous. For decades, Iran's greatest strategic asset was its network of non-state partners. That network has been significantly damaged, but it has not been dismantled. Hezbollah suffered catastrophic losses. The assassination of Hassan Nasrallah has reduced them to a shadow. They now rely on fiber optic guided drones smuggled through Syrian corridors. The Iraqi militias are fragmented, but radical factions continue to move personnel and funds through Arbain pilgrimage corridors, operating beneath the radar. The Houthis are different. They have emerged as the most resilient and autonomous. They pursue their own objectives, blockading Red Sea shipping and targeting Saudi infrastructure. In July 2026, the Houthis established an advanced operational headquarters south of Baghdad, directly coordinating long-range strike operations with Iraqi Shia militias. Iran has also established a direct air cargo corridor between Tehran and Sana'a, delivering IRGC advisors and drone components. The Hormuz Bab el-Mandeb choke point is now a permanent leverage mechanism. Perhaps no question matters more than this one. Does Iran still have a path to a nuclear weapon? The honest answer is, we don't fully know. The strikes of 2026 destroyed every major declared enrichment facility. Natanz is inoperable. Fordow is collapsed. The one exception is Bushehr, which remains under inspection. But the IAEA itself has admitted it has lost continuity of knowledge, the ability to account for Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles and its highly enriched uranium purity. Iran is currently blocking inspectors from 20 facilities. The Isfahan tunnel complex remains inaccessible, though satellite imagery shows continuous vehicle activity around its entrances. Iran's position, that access comes only after a peace treaty, is incompatible with IAEA requirements. The nuclear question, in other words, has not been solved. It has been suspended. Neither Russia nor China sent soldiers, but both provided something arguably more valuable: the technological infrastructure that allowed Iran to fight effectively. China supplied Iran with access to its Beidou 3 military satellite navigation network, making Iranian missiles and drones immune to standard GPS jamming. Beijing also provided advanced YLC-8B radar systems capable of detecting stealth aircraft and AI-enhanced real-time imagery of US carrier strike groups in the Gulf. Russia contributed high-resolution reconnaissance from the Kayam satellite and electronic warfare components, including replacement parts for S-400 air defense batteries. The logic is simple. Every Patriot interceptor Iran forces the US to fire is one fewer available in the Pacific or Europe. The conflict serves as a live test environment for Chinese and Russian tech. The 2026 war fundamentally altered how the Gulf states see their own security. The 2023 normalization deal offered zero protection when Iranian missiles struck energy infrastructure. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are now investing aggressively in indigenous defense and diversifying their partnerships, maintaining their US umbrella while deepening ties with Beijing and Moscow. Saudi-Israeli normalization, meanwhile, remains frozen. Riyadh continues to insist on an explicit path to Palestinian statehood, a condition the current environment makes harder to achieve. As for Iran itself, we are witnessing its transformation. Revolutionary ideology has been replaced by militarized nationalism. The IRGC no longer fights to export a revolution, but to preserve a state. Iran cannot wage conventional war. Its proxy Hezbollah is a shadow. And yet, Iran still controls two of the world's most critical trade choke points and a technological lifeline from Moscow and Beijing. The Middle East that existed before February 2026 is gone. What replaced it is a volatile, fragmented equilibrium, one where a weakened Iran still retains asymmetric leverage over global energy. The question is no longer whether Iran survives, it is what kind of Iran survives, and how the rest of the world chooses to respond to it. If you found this analysis valuable, consider subscribing for weekly geopolitical breakdowns. Sources: IAEA reports. Open source military analysis, August 2026.